September 22nd, 2023, 11:32 p.m. A young woman in a green top waves someone into her apartment building. She's smiling, being kind, holding the door. 36 minutes later, that same man walks out alone. The woman's name was Pava LaPere, 26 years old, tech CEO, Forbes 30 under 30. 3 days later, police found her body on the roof, beaten with a brick, strangled, left like garbage. The man who killed her? A registered sex offender named Jason Billingsley. And here's what makes this case truly horrifying. Pava wasn't his first victim that week. She wasn't even his second. 72 hours before he murdered Pava, Billingsley had raped a woman, slashed her throat, and set her on fire. And she survived to tell what happened. This is Baltimore, September 2023. 3 days, 2 crime scenes, 1 predator, who used the one thing nobody questions to get close to his victims: a maintenance worker uniform.
4:30 in the morning. April Hurley hears pounding on her basement apartment door in West Baltimore. "Maintenance, you have a flood in the kitchen." Before April can check, the door explodes inward. A man with a gun storms inside. His name is Jason Billingsley. He actually does work maintenance for the building. He has keys. He has access. He's been watching April for weeks. April isn't alone. Her friend Jonte Gilmore is there. Billingsley forces them both to the floor at gunpoint, duct tapes their mouths, handcuffs them. Then he rapes April multiple times. When she fights back, he pistol whips her in the head. He locks Jonte in a closet, makes him listen to April screaming. Then Billingsley takes a serrated knife and slashes April's throat. But he's not done. Billingsley pours gasoline on both of them, on their bodies, on the floor, soaks the entire apartment. Then he pulls out a lighter and sets them both on fire. April's skin blisters, burns. Jonte, trapped in the closet, feels the heat consuming him. The apartment fills with smoke. Billingsley walks out, gets in his truck, drives away, believes they're both dead. But neighbors hear screaming, see smoke, call 911. Firefighters pull April and Jonte from the burning apartment, rush them to the hospital in critical condition. Both survive. When police process the scene, they find everything: Billingsley's hoodie, his DNA, the knife, the gas can, security footage showing him at the building the day before. They identify him within hours. Jason Billingsley, registered sex offender, convicted in 2015 for raping a woman at knife point, sentenced to 30 years, served only 7, released 11 months ago. They have his name, his photo, his address, his record showing he's a violent rapist who just tried to murder 2 people. And they make a decision that will cost someone their life. They don't warn the public. Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley's reasoning: the attack wasn't random. Billingsley worked at that building. He knew his victims. Therefore, they decided no public threat, no press release, no warning, no alert telling Baltimore residents that a violent sex offender who just raped, tortured, and tried to burn 2 people alive was on the loose. For 72 hours, Jason Billingsley remains free.
Pava LaPere spent Friday evening at Baltimore's Artscape Festival. Around 11 p.m., she headed home to her apartment in Mount Vernon. 26 years old. CEO of EcoMap Technologies. Just closed a $3.5 million funding round. Forbes 30 under 30. Security cameras capture her approaching her building at 11:32 p.m. Green top, red pants, red shoes. She presses the button to unlock the door and sees someone behind her. Pava turns, sees a man, and does what Pava always did. She helps. She waves him inside, holds the door open. Both step onto the elevator together. 36 minutes later, at 11:08 p.m., that man walks out alone. Monday morning, Pava doesn't show up for work, doesn't answer texts or calls. Her coworkers file a missing person report. Police check her building. and find her body on the roof. Beaten with a brick, strangled, partially clothed, dead for 3 days while friends searched and family worried. Police pulled security footage. See Pava waving someone inside. See the man's height, build, movement. Compare it to other recent cases. It's Jason Billingsley, the same man who'd attacked April and Jonte 72 hours earlier.
September 26th, 4 days after Pava's murder, 7 days after he attacked April and Jonte. Baltimore police finally hold a press conference. Mayor Brandon Scott, voice shaking with emotion. Pava was a very young, talented, devoted Baltimorean who would help anybody she would see. To have that life cut short by someone who has no care about anything other than harming people should sit deep in the stomachs of all Baltimoreans. Acting Commissioner Worley shows Billingsley's photo. This individual will kill and he will rape. He will do anything he can to cause harm. We implore residents to be aware of your surroundings at all times. But for Pava, the warning came 4 days too late. Here's what makes this case even more infuriating. In 2013, Jason Billingsley approached a woman at 1 a.m., invited her inside to talk, then pulled a knife, held it to her throat, and raped her. When she resisted, he strangled her, threatened to shoot her. He was convicted in 2015, sentenced to 30 years in prison. But Maryland has a system called diminution credits, good behavior, work programs, education classes. Inmates can earn up to 20 days off per month. Billingsley participated in everything, became a model prisoner, earned his credits. October 2022, he's released after serving just 7 years, less than a quarter of his original sentence. 11 months later, he rapes April, tries to burn her alive, and murders Pava. But here's the worst part. Eden's Homes LLC and Property Pals LLC, the companies that hired Billingsley as a maintenance worker, never ran a background check. Not one. Never checked if he had a criminal record, never looked at the sex offender registry, just handed him keys to their buildings and sent him to work. A basic background check costs less than $50, takes 24 hours. It would have immediately revealed Billingsley's rape conviction, his registered sex offender status, his history of violent assault. But they didn't bother. And that negligence gave a convicted rapist master keys to vulnerable people's homes.
August 2024, Billingsley pleaded guilty to everything. 2 counts of attempted murder, rape, arson, first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without parole. He will die in prison. At sentencing, Judge Melissa Finn looked directly at him. Nobody in any community will be safe while you are free. The defendant should have never been released into the community to inflict immense trauma, pain, and sorrow on so many individuals in such a short amount of time. Billingsley apologized, said he was remorseful. Pava's father, Frank LaPere, I don't buy it. This is not a one-time crime. I don't think this is a person who can understand remorse. Then came the civil case. November 25, 2024, just 2 weeks ago, a Baltimore jury awarded April Hurley and Jonte Gilmore $21.5 million from Eden's Homes and Property Pals. The verdict sent a clear message. If you hire someone without checking their background, if you give them access to people's homes, if you prioritize profit over safety, there will be consequences. April herself, fighting tears, no amount of money can change what happened, but it sends a message. You must follow standards when hiring people who will be around your tenants. You cannot put profit over people's safety. Pava's parents, Frank and Caroline LaPere, refused to let their daughter's death be meaningless. They lobbied Maryland legislators, testified before committees, shared Pava's story with anyone who would listen. In 2024, Maryland passed Pava's Law. The law eliminates diminution credits for people convicted of first-degree rape and violent sex crimes. These offenders will now serve their full sentences. No early release for good behavior, no credits that let them walk free after serving a fraction of their time. Frank LaPere at the signing, acceptable justice may have been served, but it will never fill the void. But if this law prevents even one family from experiencing what we've experienced, then Pava's death will have meaning beyond the tragedy. The painful truth. Jason Billingsley would still be in prison if this law had existed in 2022. April wouldn't have been tortured. Jonte wouldn't have been set on fire. Pava would still be alive. But it exists now,
and future violent sex offenders will serve their full sentences. Most maintenance workers are professionals. They respect boundaries. They protect residents. They do their jobs with integrity. But that uniform, that position, grants access. Keys to buildings, keys to apartments, legitimate reasons to knock on doors, enter homes, be present in private spaces. For predators, that access is a weapon. If someone claiming to be maintenance knocks on your door, call your property management office first, confirm they sent someone, get a name and description. Ask for identification. Legitimate workers have company ID badges. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, don't open the door. You can refuse entry and reschedule. Your safety matters more than politeness. For landlords and property managers, run comprehensive background checks, criminal records, sex offender registry, reference verification. This is non-negotiable. There's no excuse not to. These checks cost less than $100 and take 1 day. Eden's Homes and Property Pals learned this lesson the hard way. It cost them $21.5 million. More importantly, it cost their tenant her safety. It cost Baltimore a brilliant young CEO. It cost Pava LaPere her life. September 22, 2023, 11:32 p.m. Pava LaPere holds the door open for someone who needs help, being exactly who she was, kind, welcoming, community-minded. 36 minutes later, she's dead. Jason Billingsley is serving 3 life sentences. He'll die in prison. April Hurley is rebuilding her life, advocating for change, fighting to make sure what happened to her prevents future tragedies. Pava law ensures violent sex offenders serve their full sentences. And Baltimore remembers a 26-year-old CEO who made her city better simply by being herself. Remember their names, learn from their experiences, verify who has access to your home. Because the most dangerous predators don't look dangerous. They look like someone just doing their job. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual assault, National Sexual Assault Hotline, 1-800-656-HOPE. That's 1-800-656-4677.